Good morning, investors and corporate. Welcome to SET Digital Roadshow first quarter of 2023 performance review. This session will run about 45 minutes, including Q&A. The company will start the session by 30-minute presentation, followed by 15-minute Q&A. During Q&A, investors may leave your question in meeting room chat box or you raise your hand function. We will open your microphone so you can ask the question to the company directly. May I now invite SCG Packaging Public Property Limited to start the presentation.
Yes, good morning. So today we will have a session to talk about our business and also to follow by Q&A. So let's first start by our team to talk about the business in general and also the past quarter performance.
Okay, thank you, Kap. So as a quick recap, I'll go over the highlight of the first quarter result. As you can see here, there's 4 pillars of our strategic directions here. The first one would be the growth. Here on the left-hand side, you will see we have announced the MNP or inorganic expansion to the fiber packaging business in Vietnam, mainly to expand into the folding carton packaging, which we don't have in operation at the moment, and also we also enter into the new type of packaging that we can access to, which is rigid box. My team will explain in detail later on. Another one would be a development of the so-called innovation of bio solution. Here is the bio-based plastic from eucalyptus wood chip. We have a partnership with one of the leading carbon negative material producer from the US. The name is Origin. The third one would be our at most result in terms of the ESG rating from the DJSI last year. We achieved the top 1% of the ranking score in the global container and packaging sector in 2022. And the last one would be a notable award in terms of design from the national level and also the global level from our designers. Next, in terms of performance, I think all of you probably have seen this financial result already. I just want to briefly touch in here that, of course, if you look at the Q1Q element from revenue, EBITDA, profit, you have seen the improvement from the bottom point of our performance in the fourth quarter of last year. Second half of last year, of course, was affected by the fact that there was a lockdown in China mainly, and there was a direct effect in terms of the lower export volume to China in the form of packaging paper, and also indirect effect in the form of the lower packaging paper price in Southeast Asia because of the higher level of remaining supply in the region. In the first quarter of this year, the positive development would mainly came from the fact that the cost or the cost element has came down, freight cost, energy cost, and also the raw material cost in the form of RCP, right? So with the margin improvement, our profitability also improved on a Q1Q basis, as you can see on this page here. Next. Revenue segmentation. The key here on the left-hand side, which is a segmentation based on business unit. The difference in terms of year-on-year would be the addition of the recycling business after we complete the MNP in Perth and Jordan, the recycling business in the Netherlands and the South in the US. And if you can see the part that we focus in terms of expansion would be the so-called consumer packaging, polymer packaging, and fiber packaging. It has been performing with a high level of resiliency or through this volatility of demand regionally and also globally. Whereas the packaging paper, as I mentioned earlier, was affected by the demand, the weaker demand in China in particular. On the right-hand side, as you can see, the portion that we sell to the rest of the world in terms of the revenue destination is actually bigger. Of course, main portion of that will come from the recycling business as well, because for recycling business, we sell our product to several countries around the world, not only in Asia, but also in Europe and also in other regions. Next. Macro development, I think I will briefly touch here that for the first quarter, The boost would come from the improve of the domestic consumption in almost all the countries in Southeast Asia except Vietnam, in which they had the long holiday in the first quarter. After China reopening, the improvement in the first quarter was also very significant when you're comparing to the fourth quarter in terms of the mobilities, production activities, and so forth, right? Along with our export volume to China in the first quarter for packaging paper. Globally, of course, the challenge still remain in Europe. For example, you will see the drop in terms of the demand of consumer for durable products because of the inflation and the height of interest rate. Last one, in terms of manufacturing costs, as I mentioned earlier, the transportation cost, freight rate, energy costs start to normalize. So that is good for the manufacturer, including us. Next. Our team will go into detail for each business unit. Thank you.
Okay. If we start with the integrated packaging business first, you will see that in the first quarter of this year, we recorded at the 25 billion Thai baht for integrated packaging business. And if you see in terms of year-on-year movements, you have seen some decline with the mainly from the lower packaging paper sale volume and price. And in terms of Q-on-Q, we have seen the development in the if you see on the left-hand side, you will see that polymer packaging, fiber packaging is the consumer packaging, which it has the same growth driver, especially for the food and beverage FMCG is remain resilient Q-on-Q, which is driven by the rising tourism, especially in ASEAN. Also, the pre-holiday restock, especially in Thailand and Indonesia. Also, as Khun Vikorn mentioned, I think in terms of the durable goods, non-essential goods, we still have seen the weak of demand. And in terms of packaging paper, which is the majority one of the revenue, we have seen the recovery Q-on-Q, especially in terms of volume in the both domestic and export markets, which is especially in the China market after they are lifting lockdown. And then we still have seen some of price pressure remain in some certain markets, especially in Indonesia and Vietnam. And if you see in terms of EBITDA we recorded around 3.6 billion Thai baht in the first quarter. And in terms of movement, you will see in terms of year-on-year decline, mainly for the packaging paper business, while the margin are still resilient for the consumer packaging. And in terms of Q-on-Q, you will see that we have seen the significant increase in terms of the raw material cost in the all elements, which is mainly benefited to the packaging paper operations, and also in terms of packaging paper sale volume improvement as well. And the next one is the fiber business. You will see that the first quarter recorded at the 6.2 billion Thai baht in the first quarter. And of course, year-on-year, we have seen the improvement in terms of the higher product prices and also the full service packaging expansion. And if you see in terms of the Q-on-Q, full service packaging have some mixed factors, but still we have seen some growth in the especially in the quick service restaurant segment, which is increased for the rising tourism and also the promotional packaging. And if you see in terms of paper, of course, in terms of Q-on-Q, we have seen a higher sale volume, especially for the printing and writing paper. After that, we have maintenance activities in the Q4 of last year. Also, if you see in terms of pulp, we have seen the revenue increase driving by the sale volume. But in terms of the price, we have seen the downward pressure in terms of Q-on-Q, especially the dissolving pulp that have some relatively with the weak global demand of textiles. And if you see in terms of EBITDA, EBITDA record around 866 million baht. And if you see in terms of year-on-year, which is driven by the higher paper and full service packaging EBITDA, also Q-on-Q some drop in terms of pulp market prices. The next one is the recap in terms of our balance sheet. You will see that we still have solid and have a debt headroom to grow for the future growth with quality. And in terms of net debt, we record at around 35 billion Thai baht. And for the main ratio like net debt to EBITDA and DE ratio at the first quarter was stable if you compare to last year. And right now, we have cash on cash under management about 13 billion Thai baht. And also, if you see in terms of average cost of debt, record around 4.4%. And of course, in terms of the things that we trying to do is the push effort in terms of the funding structure management. Right now, we have fixed portion and float proportion around 60 and 40 in the first quarter. And if you see in terms of on the right-hand side for the CapEx plan for this year, we plan at around 18 billion Thai baht, which is half of that is 9 billion Thai baht for the M&P budget. And for the rest one is the for the regulatory maintenance and efficiency ESG. And the next one, Khun Nipapan will talk about the business update.
For our investment plan for this year and next years, we have focusing on 3 key strategies through the 2 approaches toward both the M&P and organic expansions. Let's start with our strategic investment. We're focusing on the growing the core. It means we would like to strengthen our existing business by increasing integrations level between upstream and downstream and enhance the solution portions. Next, we would like to expand the adjacent field. Mean that we would like to augment that what we already have, especially in the healthcare and the bio solutions. Another area is we would like to enter into the new business and then new market which have potentially growth in the future, like South Asia or India. Look into the right-hand side. In the letter T, it show you some visibilities of our business expansion for this year and next years. The blue dot, it represents for our organic expansion that we ever update in the past, that we have 4 ongoing projects, including the fiber and polymer packaging in Thailand and Vietnam, as well as the relocations of a project of the packaging material recycling business in the Netherlands. Let's focus on the orange dot, which represent for our M&P under considerations, and we're working on it for this year, next years. The first area in the healthcare segment, we would like to augment the Delta Lab product portfolio and customer network. Delta Lab is a medical supply and lab in Spain, and its product can sell globally. Last year, we already appointed a distributor in Thailand to sell the product in ASEAN. So we are also looking for the opportunity to expand the customer network in terms of global. Next, for the food service packaging, we observe that it have a very high growth rate in ASEAN, particularly in the promising market like Malaysia or Philippines. Malaysia, we already have the operations of a food service packaging there. And for the Philippines, they have a growing term of populations and with lots of interest in the quick service restaurant. The next area is in the polymer packaging. We would like to enhance our presence in ASEAN for both flexible and rigid packaging, as well as we explore the potentials for the customer expansion for the global footprint as well. The 4th area is in the display packaging, especially the folding carton in Thailand and Vietnam, which include the deal that we just announced in the last quarter. The 5th area in the corrugated carton. And of course, that we would like to enhance our integration level among the chains and increase the market share of the downstream business covering country in the Vietnam and Indonesia. And another area is in the recycling business. Last year, we already M&P with Perth in Netherlands and Jordan in the US. So we would like to enhance our operation capabilities and collection network in terms of in US and Europe as well. And these are all our business expansions and our M&P in focus. And we aim to achieve it around 2 to 3 deals per year, as is our typical pace that we are doing. Next, I would like to update you about the deal that we just announced last quarter. We announced the interest to invest in the Starprint in Vietnam. Our board of directors approved us to invest around 70% stake in Starprint with the enterprise value approximately 1.5 billion baht. And this deal will be done together with our strategic partner, Starfresh, the leading flexible packaging in Thailand. And so if you look at the product of the Starprint, 2/3 of its revenue is mainly come from the folding carton, which are boxes that have a beautiful printing technique that you can see on the shelf in the supermarket, like the cereal box or the toothpaste box. Another 1/3 is come from the rigid box, that is hard case paper base. It's normally accompanied by the premium product such as the cosmetic box or the electronic device like iPhone or iPad. For the strategic rationale of this investment, this will help us to complete the solutions capability in Vietnam. In Vietnam, we already have a corrugated cartons, flexible packaging, rigid packaging. By having the Starprint, it will help enhance our capabilities in the offset, in the folding cartons, and helps us to complete the solution offering in the country. The second one, this is enter into the high growth and premium margin segment of the folding carton and rigid box, and this will be a new addition to our portfolio, as the rigid box is a new category that we never have before, even in Thailand. The third reason is in terms of customer. The customer of the Starprint is a very good quality customer and almost an MNC. So we can enable cross-selling between other productions and other packaging product in our companies. On top of that, it will increase the integrations among our ASEAN operations, because the paper base that Starprint use we can produce in Thailand and ship it to Starprint for the use as a raw material. So this is about to enter into the high growth and premium margin segment and enhance the growth in Vietnam. For the innovations, we are moving towards sustainable packaging in the global scale by the joint development agreement with the Origin Materials, who is listed in US in a stock Nasdaq, and who is specialized in producing the sustainable materials, produce element for the BioPET, which are used as a key ingredient for the PET bottle. It's normally made of petroleum base. This co-development of the world-class innovations is to make the bio-based plastic from the eucalyptus wood chip that we have in our own plantations in our fibrous business. So these are big opportunities to utilize our strengths, and will be the solutions for the customer who focusing on the sustainable material in the future. And with these advanced technologies, we can convert the eucalyptus wood chip to the bio-PTA and further to the bio-PET. These applications can be used in the food and beverage industry, as well as the textile and apparel industry. And we also got the byproduct, the hydrothermal carbon, that we can use in the biofuels and automotive segment as well. This development have a 3 main stage. We already complete the first one, is turned on the laboratory, and now we on the second stage is on the optimizations, and we aim to finish the third stage by the developing or establishing of the pilot plant by this year. And so after that, we will study on the commercializations, and we'll keep you updated on the progress of our sustainability improvement. Next, in terms of our ESGs, SCGP is conduct business under the ESG principles and align with the sustainability trends. Last year is to confirm our effort in terms of ESG that we achieved top 1% in gold class level in the container and packaging sectors by S&P Global. We got the highest score in all 3 key elements in E, S, and G. And it's very proud of us because it's second year that we joined S&P Global, and we already achieved the top level of the ESGs. On the right hand side, you can see that our ESG progressive effort that we, in terms of our energy consumptions, that the portions of alternative energies increased to 34.6%, is improved around 4% from the end of last year. So it shows the commitment of our top management in terms of ESG, and would like to achieve the net zero by 2050s. And we also continue to do joint collaborations and joint activities with the government agencies, supplier, and consumers. Next, I will pass on to Kun Vikon.
Okay, thank you. So for the outlook, we separate into internal and external. The first one would be, internal. We continue to put our effort, focus on the cost reduction, especially the installation of automation or this efficiency improvement project, especially on the area of energy consumptions, in which you probably have seen that we also was able to increase the AF portion to our energy source of around 4% in the fourth quarter this year. Second one would be the focus on the optimization of working capital, especially with the data analytics project that we plan to do this year, from the touch point that we have with the customers to the or through the chain from downstream to upstream. We aim to improve our cash cycle of around 10 to 15% for this year, comparing to last year. The last one, in terms of internal effort, would be the fact that we try to augment the consumer packaging offering with this research and development, one of which would be the project to do bio-based PET that we mentioned earlier. External, of course, as you see, with reopening, higher number of tourism in the region, in ASEAN, domestic consumption portion for the demand is actually improving, especially for F&B, FMCG. For China, of course, they have their own unique characteristic. We believe that the momentum would continue in terms of improvement to the second half this year, but of course, along the way, there will be on and off in terms of supply chain normalizations with the adjustment, the inventory level, and also activity in the country as well. The second one would be, of course, the remaining challenge in terms of the export market, especially in Europe, which we see that there's a general lower level of demand, especially for the non-consumable product, whereas the US would likely to be also weaker in terms of economy. But of course, as of now, the US economy is still perform with resiliency at the moment. The third one would be for the cost side. Freight and energy costs will continue to normalize with the resumption of the global supply chain. Right? The one area that is actually support us would be the lower cost of RCP, or our raw material recovered papers, globally in the US and in the Europe as well, as a main source of supply. We still see that trend continue in the second quarter of this year, whereas going forward in the second half this year, that would be more or less on the sideways trend. Pulp price would be quite unique, in which the short fiber pulp price, as we expect, has been decreased along with the weak demand textile and garment. Whereas the dissolving pulp is actually performing with resiliency at the moment because of the higher demand in the VSF product, which is the part of the supply chain that use dissolving pulp as raw materials. Last one, the key takeaway, of course, team mentioned the three strategic direction that we want to do: growing the core, especially the improvement of the T model, and also to expand to adjacent field and to the new business in terms of the product and services segment, and also new market that we are approached to pursue, the new S-curve, for example, in healthcare, medical supply, and recycling business. Second one would be the continuation to work with our customer to improve the RD&I. The third one would be, of course, we have a very strong DNA in terms of the ESG from our parents' company. Last year, we also achieved pass through the big milestone from the rating score that we got from the GSI, right? Going forward, we also trying to work with all our stakeholders to improve this aspect of our operations. If there is none, we would like to thank all the participants for joining the digital roadshow today, and we look forward to seeing you again in the next quarter. And also, big thanks to the Stock Exchange of Thailand for being a very good host for all this event. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, investors and corporate, for joining the conference. If you need further detail, please feel free to drop us an email. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.